Hey, what's going on guys? It's Lightning back bringing you guys another Destiny video guys. In today's Destiny video, we're going to be going over the top 10 strikes in Destiny. Now this top 10 list is all my personal opinion. For the most part, I like every single strike in Destiny except for the Will of Crota. I'm sorry if you like that strike, but in my personal opinion, that strike really sucks. But for the most part, like I said, I enjoy most of the strikes in Destiny. They're all fun in my personal opinion. But guys, with all that said, let's get straight into it. Coming in at our number 10 spot, guys, in today's video, we have the Cerberaus Vae III. Now, I know not a lot of people like this strike, but like I said, this is all my personal opinion. But what I love about this strike is that it uses Destiny's awesome sandbox. This strike gives you the ability to use vehicles. You can use the interceptors if you want to. If you don't want to use the interceptors, you can run and gun. But I just like the option of vehicle gameplay, and I think it needs to be more used in Destiny, and I think it needs to be implemented into more strikes because I think it's really enjoyable. And there's not a lot of vehicle gameplay, and I think it would really refresh strikes and the Destiny gameplay experience overall. The boss fight in the strike is nothing special. It's your normal year 1 boss where it's just kind of a bullet sponge. It doesn't have a lot of mechanics. I really don't think this boss fight's that bad. The room layout is pretty good. It has a lot of cover and stuff. You can get up close and personal if you want to with a shotgun or a sword. If not, you can lay back with the scout rifle and sniper and just pick off enemies and just do some damage on the boss. Honestly, the boss fight isn't that bad, but it's just kind of your normal year 1 strike boss. He just has a lot of health and has no mechanics whatsoever. He's just kind of your normal year 1 boss. This strike definitely has its downfalls, and that's the reason it's at our number 10 spot. But I think it's a good strike. I know a lot of people hate it, and I understand why a lot of people hate it, but in my personal opinion, it's a good strike. It uses Destiny's sandbox, and overall, it's a good experience of a strike. It's not the best strike, but definitely isn't the worst one. It's kind of like the happy medium. But guys, that's why it's at our number 10 spot. Coming in at our number 9 spot, we have the Nexus. Now the Nexus is kind of your basic white bitch of a strike on this list. Don't get me wrong, I really do like this strike, but it's just kind of basic. There's nothing really special about it. There were some parts that I definitely liked about this strike. Like the beginning part where you had to fight the 3 servitors. I really liked that part because it was something you really didn't see in any other strikes, and sometimes it made for a difficult fight, especially when there's nightfalls and it was Whiteburn. It was pretty challenging, not gonna lie. The boss fight I really liked, and it didn't really get boring. I always found the boss fight really refreshing because there's so many tactics and so many like engagements with the Nexus that you can do, and I really did enjoy the boss fight. I enjoyed the room because it's nice and circular, and the mechanic for the boss is that he has a circular shield, so you can always be doing damage on the Nexus, which I like because that means you can take him down pretty quick. There were also lots of cover and like platforms you can jump on, and you could take cover and take out the Vex ads if you needed to. I really did enjoy the boss fight. The room and the boss really complemented each other, and I think it made for a very fun boss fight and sometimes very challenging, especially on nightfalls. I think this strike's biggest downfall is like you had the beginning part where with the servers, which was a lot of fun. Then you had the boss fight, which was really fun. But then you had this middle part, which I thought was always really boring. Like the only thing you did was shoot enemies, and that's all you did. That's like all you did was just shoot them. Like there was nothing, there was like no objective, there was nothing. You just shot enemies. I really didn't like that part. It was kind of boring in my personal opinion. The Nexus is both basic and a fun strike in Destiny. It was very enjoyable back in year 1, and I think is a very solid strike, but the middle part is its biggest downfall, and that's why its score is so low on this list. Coming in at our number 9 spot, we have the Dust Palace. Now I have to say this strike has some very good pacing to it. It is a very nice fast-paced strike. I think it's a very fun close quarter strike that you really don't get with any other strike. It's extremely fun to go around with shotguns and swords and just fuck some Vex and Cabal bitches up. I also am a very big fan of the boss fight. I like how there's 3 little bosses and it makes for one big boss fight because there's 3 little ones, and I really do like that aspect because in vanilla the only thing you really had was like just one big boss, but in this fight you have like 3 little bosses and they all have like different shields, so there's like different ways you have to go about. And I like in year 2 where we have the swords and you can just get up close in quarters and just get a shotgun and get a sword and just mess some people up, get your supers out and just really go ham on these guys. And I think the boss fight is a lot of fun. The room is a lot of fun too because you can also put down a turn and can help you take out some ads and stuff. And you can just play the boss fight like how you want it. Like you can kind of sit back with the sniper and do some damage on the bosses. If not, you can get up close with the sword and just slash the shit out of the bosses. I really like that part. What I love about this strike is that the pacing is super fast. It seems like you're always running into enemies and it just has non-stop action. Like I said earlier, it's fun just to get a shotgun and a sword and just fuck some shit up. Like, it's just super close quarters, there's a lot of enemies to fight. I feel like the boss battle really complements the close quarter feel of this strike. You have to get up close and personal and you have to be doing a lot of constant damage on the bosses, and I think it just really helps make this strike feel really close quarters. And guys, I really like this strike because of the close quarters feel. The rest of the strikes in Destiny Road really don't feel like this one, but guys, that's why it comes in at our number 8 spot. Coming in at our number 7 spot, we have the Fallen Saber strike. I have to say, I really enjoy this strike, but it has a few pacing issues in my personal opinion. For example, let's talk about the Warsat fight. The Warsat fight is the first part of the strike, and I have to say it's probably the hardest part of the strike. I like how they're adding public events into the strikes, but the problem with this part of the Warsat fight is that none of the players from Patrol can enter the area and help you out. I think it would be a little bit better and a little bit easier if Patrol players could help you out in this fight, and maybe they can get a reward and you can also possibly get a reward. I think it would make it a little bit better and just maybe a little bit easier. I wouldn't say the Warsat fight is super difficult, but if you're just playing your first strike of the day and you get this strike and you have to do the Warsat fight, you're in for a challenge, not gonna lie, because there's just a lot of enemies charging at you. They're very aggressive and there's just a ton of them. What makes it worse is that it's the first part of the strike. Like, this isn't the second or this isn't the third part of the strike, it's the first part of the strike. Like, you really haven't killed any enemies until this point, and it's just super hard because there's just so many coming at you just so fast. I think another problem with the Warsat fight is that it's so fast and so many enemies are coming at you so aggressively. It's like the fastest part of the strike. Like, after that, like the second and the boss fight, they're actually pretty slow in my opinion. The Warsat, it's a different pace from the rest of the strike. I have to say, I do like the rest of the strike. The atmosphere of this strike is awesome. You're in the lair of Rasputin. I also like how the rooms kind of act like their own boss, and they have their own mechanics, and I think it makes it a little bit challenging, especially on Nightfalls. The boss fight in this strike is one of the best strike bosses in my opinion. The Saber boss looks super badass, and yet again, the room kind of acts like its own boss. The further you progress through the boss fight, the room gets harder, and so does the boss. As you start damaging the Saber a little bit more, he gets more aggressive, and the room really starts trying to kill you. Like, more of the room gets a little bit more deadlier. I think the boss had a good mix of a challenge and also a very fun fight. I really do like the strike, but the beginning part is its biggest issue, and that's the reason its score is kind of low on this list. Coming in at our number 6 spot, we have the Sunless Cell. Now, I love the boss battle to this strike. Alakul is an amazing boss. He's probably the best strike boss in Destiny, but parts of this strike are a huge pain in the ass. The first part of the strike where you have to stand on the panels and kill the Shriekers isn't that bad. What I hate is the Shrieker room. That is the biggest pain in the ass ever. That's like the biggest pain in the ass in any strike ever. I hate when you get noobs on your team and they just try running through it and they die and you have to clear ads and also try to pick them up. But once you get past all of that, Alakul is just an amazing boss. I think Alakul is probably the best strike boss in my personal opinion. The atmosphere to this boss is amazing. It's complete and total darkness. What I also like is that the ads are really easy to take out. Only thing you have is Thrall and Cursed Thrall. There's like no Hive Knights or Wizards trying to kill you. With Alakul being only a melee character and having complete darkness in this room makes for a very cool fight. It kind of has like a Michael Myers feel to it. The Sunless Cell is kind of a mixed bag for me. There's certain parts like the Shrieker room that are just a huge pain in the ass, but there's parts like the boss fight that are just amazing in this strike. And for me, it's kind of just a mixed bag. And when I get this strike, I'm super happy because I'm like really excited to fight Alakul since he's just a cool boss and stuff. But some of the parts of this strike are just a pain in the ass, especially if you get noobs. With all that said, that's the reason it comes in at our number 6 spot. Coming in at our number 5 spot, guys, in today's video, we have the Summoning Pits. Now, even to date, this is one of the most solid strikes in Destiny. But ever since year 1, I think there's been better strikes that have been released. What I like about this strike is that it's fast and it's fun, and the pacing in this strike is pretty good. It's one of the best pacing strikes to date in Destiny. And another thing that I like about this strike is that on normal difficulty, it can take you 6 to 10 minutes to do this strike. So if you have like an exotic bounty where you have to do a whole bunch of strikes, you can do this strike like a whole bunch of times in like 30 minutes. Another thing too is that if you have a Nightfall, it can be extremely difficult. Like this strike's pretty easy on like normal difficulty, but if you get it on the Nightfall, it can be extremely difficult. The boss fight is super badass. You can hear Fogoth all around this strike. Like when you first enter this strike, you hear him, and I just think he's super badass. Fogoth, he's nothing special. He's kind of a normal year 1 boss. He kind of just sits in the middle and you just shoot at him, but still he's a good boss fight. It's kind of fun. There's a lot of strategies to take him down, and honestly this is a very good strike in my opinion, but there has been better strikes that have released since this strike came out. And guys, that's why it comes in at our number 5 spot. Coming in at our number 4 spot, we have the Winter's Run. What I like about this strike is that you can play it how you want to play it. If you want to get up close and personal, you can get a shotgun and a sword and just go beast mode. If not, you can stay back and use a sniper and a scout rifle and just take your time. Both the boss fight and other parts of this strike are implemented where you can just play how you want to. I also really enjoy the Taken remake to this strike. Both the normal version of this strike and the Taken version of this strike have their own pacings and their own engagements. The Taken remake of this strike is just a nice breath of fresh air. I also really like the Archon Priest. He's a very fun strike boss. Like I said earlier, you can play how you want to play. You can get up with a shotgun and sword, just beast on this dude. If not, you can sit back with a sniper or scout rifle and just do damage on him like that. And he's less of a bullet sponge than the rest of the year 1 bosses in my personal opinion, and even to date I still think he's a pretty good strike boss. And the room also lets you play how you want to play. Like I said earlier, you can get on a cliff and just snipe them. If not, you have lots of cover where you can get in with a auto rifle, sword, and shotgun and just do damage on them like that. And that's the reason I really love this strike, is that you can play it how you want to play it. It doesn't force you to play close quarters or long range. You can just play it how you want to play it. And guys, that's the reason I really like this strike, and that's why it's so high on this list. Coming in at our number 3 spot, we have the Shield Brothers strike. Now, I'm a big sucker for having tanks in the middle of the strikes. I really like this tank battle because it takes the close quarter feelings of the tank battle in the Shadow Feast strike, but also gives you a lot of cover like in the Devil's Lair strike. I have to say, I really like the boss fight to this strike. It has a really cool tag team feeling to it, and both of the bosses have their own engagements and their own mechanics. I like how at the end of the strike, both of the bosses come out. It kind of has that Dust Palace boss feeling to it where there's multiple bosses. And that's what I really like about this strike. There's 2 targets to shoot at and just non-stop action. What I like about this strike is that there's a perfect mix of fun and challenge. This strike is a lot of fun, but it isn't no walk in the park, especially on Nightfalls. I think this is a really good strike, and it deserves to be at our number 3 spot. Coming in at our number 2 spot, guys, in today's video this goes to the Devil's Lair. Now, it's more than just my nostalgia talking. This strike is seriously badass. Yes, it was my first strike back in the beta, but I think overall it is one of the best strikes in Destiny. I enjoyed all the parts of this strike. I enjoyed that scanning little mission. I know there's a lot of that in year 1, but this part I really enjoyed because you can kind of play it how you want it. You can sit back with a scout rifle and just snipe them off. If not, you can get close quarters with a shotgun and just go beast mode. And honestly, it made for a challenging fight back in the Nightfall. I also really enjoy the Devil Walker. Like I said earlier, I'm a big sucker for having a walker in the middle of my strikes, and I just really enjoyed this one. It's really open and there's lots of cover and there's lots of ads to keep it challenging. And I also really enjoyed the boss fight. Now, I know Specus was kind of a bullet sponge, but it's nothing that the Gjallarhorn can't fix. And guys, I have to say, this is just one of the best strikes in Destiny. The pacing, I think, is perfect. And I think they need to make more strikes like this because this is one of the best ones in Destiny, in my personal opinion. And guys, I can't wait for the remake because they're remaking this back in the Rise of Iron. And I just can't wait. I can't wait to see what they do. Added in some new mechanics. And I think this strike will be one of the best ones in Destiny once the Rise of Iron remake comes out. It is the well-deserved number 2 spot on this list. And just, the Devil's Lair is just an amazing strike. Coming in at our number 1 spot, guys, in today's video, this has to go to the Shadow Thief. Now, this is all my personal opinion, but I think this is the best strike in Destiny. What I think makes this strike so much better than any other strike in Destiny is that it's so unique, and what makes it so unique is that you're always fighting Taniks throughout this fight. I think it's super fun, and it's nothing the other strikes have really done in Destiny. It's an aspect that I really enjoy because when you finally defeat Taniks, it feels like you really accomplished something. This strike has everything that makes a perfect strike in my personal opinion. It has good pacing to it, like there's moments where there's like no action, but once you get in some action, it's like non-stop action. That's what I really like about this strike. It has some very good pacing to it. And it also has a tank battle in the middle of the strike. Like I said earlier, I'm a sucker for some tank battles in the middle of my strikes. The first time I did this strike, I really wasn't expecting a tank battle considering it was like inside a fallen catch. But the first time I did it, like I really enjoyed the tank battle because it has kind of a different feeling to it. It's super close quarters, lots of enemies coming at you. It's a very action-packed tank battle that none of the other tank battles in any other strike really have. And I really like this one the most. Like I said earlier, another reason I like this strike is that Tanik shows up at certain points of the strike. The only part that I really don't like about this strike is that the end boss fight, like the last time you fight Taniks, is super easy. Like you shoot him on this pillar, and then he goes and hides in this corner, and the only thing you do is just really shoot him. I think it's really anticlimactic, but still, this is an amazing strike. And guys, like I said, this is all my personal opinion, but I think this is the best strike in Destiny, and that's why it comes in at our #1 spot. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and it just took super long to make, but it was a very fun video to make. I went back to all of the strikes and kind of had a good time just doing that, and just talking about them was a lot of fun. And like I said, I just hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said earlier, this is 100% my opinion. If you guys have a different top 10 strikes list, feel free to leave it down in the comment section below. And guys, I might do another top 10 list at the very end of Rise of Iron, like maybe a month or two once it comes out, so I can really see how these strikes aged and stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and guys, I'll see y'all in the next one.